Welcome. This is the 64th episode that I'm doing, by the way. I'm really, really excited because this time we have a new platform. Yes, you heard that right. Today we will be working with a new platform altogether, and that platform is none other than LinkedIn itself. Now, I have no idea how LinkedIn streaming is supposed to work. Apparently, I am live on LinkedIn streaming. I don't see myself live, to be very honest. Let me actually go and check. Oh shit, it is actually live. Okay. So it is showing up as what? Oh, it is going to show up as it is going to show up as a post. Okay, got it. That is good to hear. So basically what is going to happen now is that we are looking at different venues. Let me check X. Okay, X seems to be working perfectly fine. Let me just look it up. Yep, we are live on X. We are live on different platforms. By the way, guys, LinkedIn is like a gold mine. I have been very much anti LinkedIn for like the longest time. In fact, if you guys go and check, I don't think I've posted anything on LinkedIn in over like 3 years or something. So yeah, like I used to tweet about it back when I was building like a mental health startup in India, and that was like the last time I had actually like looked into it when I was like super duper active. And I think like I'm probably like a dead account on LinkedIn. Like I qualify as like a dead account there. But even though you know, none of that really fucking matters. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna build myself back up there. One of the reasons that I've chosen to build myself back up on LinkedIn is simply the fact that these sites are still very much under time. I think if you are like a crypto native talent, one of the biggest mistakes that you can ever make is to always undersell new platforms. LinkedIn has been around for a while, and I think it's going to be around for a while, even if nothing works out, even if everything goes wrong. I think, for example, you can literally screw up every single thing and yet win if you just know LinkedIn. That's how powerful the platform is. It's honestly as good as X, except for that on X you see like a lot of these completely idiotic, maniacal people who literally do nothing. They're just wasting time with their ideas. But on LinkedIn you have like a couple of serious people. Now these serious esque people are not like super serious, of course. Like they're okay-ish levels of serious. Sometimes even they talk about a lot of stupid stuff. Like, oh, this is what the death of my aunt taught me about B2B SaaS products. I don't think there is going to be a place like that available anymore. So yeah, how about we don't talk about that. Okay, let's not talk about that. I am still like figuring out the right cadence for posting on LinkedIn, and I really, really do not want there to be like a lot of very weird ass things because of something very, very similar. One very common thing is that I do not want to make a fool of myself on LinkedIn. I mean, of course, it's never a good look down there. And more than that, I would really want to be in a position where I just don't think about I just don't have to think about what am I going to say in the next section. By the way, for those of you who are wondering, today we've got Kairos on, so like Jay from Kairos, and also we would be having you know we would be having Abhitej very very soon. Then the problem is that I think I may have to reschedule Kairos's segment simply because of the fact that I'm failing to get like in touch with Jay at this point of time. So that would not be very, very cool. Um, because I don't want to waste anyone's time, of course, on there. So if Jay manages to join, we're in good. Otherwise, we'll just like reschedule his bit. But he's building out Kairos, and of course, I think I've talked about them in the past, like a little bit. But this is basically what they're building. It's basically like Bloomberg terminal for prediction markets. This is basically the best piece of primer out there. Expression comes at a cost, fragmented and complex, multiple level outcomes are there, prices are moving. It's very difficult to trade. They have to jump, traders have to jump between multiple venues. Some of the most efficient, innovative financial instruments for our time through basic interfaces that just not keep the pace. Today we're introducing Kairos. Now it's basically like they've said it like unified execution and intelligence layer. What I'm thinking about it is that it's kind of going to be like the axiom for prediction markets. So that's going to be a really, really big thing right there. They're promising real time data news analytics and low latency execution. That is going to be the end all be all of like the first phase. But there's more than the trading terminal. What they're also saying is that they're going to be connecting traders, builders, and exchanges. So I don't understand, like, how is this going to work out? Like, will this be like, okay, come to us and we're going to build everyone up? Like, basically, we have the distribution, like we have people, and then using us, you are going to be able to develop on top of us, like just use our infrastructure. That would be really, really dope if that happens. So that would be really, really fucking cool. Now, okay, so I would really like to kind of understand what else is it doing. We're building a team of quantitative researchers, engineers, committing building early. So I think what they are really, really doing is that they're playing the battle on two fronts. They're basically saying, okay, we are going to build the terminal, and also we're going to allow people to build on top of us. But would this not make them a competitor to Kalshi? Is my question. Because this idea of building on top of us, I think I've seen other prediction markets claim the same. So that's what I really, really kind of want to understand. Just got faster introducing Kairos, okay?
Way down setting up, now I won't need out. They came out the mud like Roddy.
Kairos.trade. I'm just gonna pick my laptop up at this point. Join waitlist for private beta. Let's actually go and try them out in some sense. So join the waitlist, adoniscyril.work at gmail.com. I don't know how fast are Twitter. Good waitlist. I would just do one more thing, which is what I always advise all projects to do. I think this is probably like one of the simplest of things you can ask and simplest of things that you can do. Just ask, like, integrate this part in your website. Every single time you're referring somebody, if somebody signs up, you move up the wait list. This is a very simple mechanism. Aave practices it, and I'm pretty sure if Aave practices it, they're doing something right in their lives, right? Like, just copy the winners, guys. You don't need to reinvent the wheel every single fucking time. But it's probably like the best thing you can actually do. So that's about it. Let me also kind of come back to this page here. Terminal. Okay, so this is basically the terminal. They've got careers right here. They're hiring like engineers, and they've got like a blog. Oh, this is basically the same thing. Jamalvia is okay. So this is basically what is being built by the team, and oh, it has sound. Shit, I did not know it had sound. Really fucking cool. Anyway, so this is basically what is being built. Now, what do I think in terms of what happens and what does not happen? I would like to understand that when you look at something like Kairos, you are seeing the future up front. It's so interesting because actually there has never been a narrative that I've been caught off guard by. Now that I think of it, I always knew something was brewing over there. Like, if I double down on robotics, I can assure you within 1 year I would be in a very good position. If I doubled down on AI when Luna Virtual's frenzy happened, I would have done very well. If you today lock in on prediction markets, you would do very well in 1 year. If you lock in today on stable coins somehow, and I know that stable coins and payments are a little bit tricky to get like exposure to, considering that you would really have to work with the core team in order to get exposure to them, right? Otherwise, it can get like a little bit difficult. Prediction markets are quite helpful in that regard because you can not be a part of the main core team and still make shit happen, right? Like, you can still say that, okay, you know what happened? Things just kind of like work through shit. So that kind of things like still happen. So that's what we are kind of like understanding, kind of like thinking about. And yeah, very interesting to think about these things. Now, I would also like to understand that if you are not new to anything, let's just say you're the guy you're like always late to something, bro. I swear to God, if you just spend like one weekend logged in, you can get pretty fucking far ahead. I don't want to miss out on this vibe coding thing, man. I don't want to miss out on this because I if I look at the world, let's do this one exercise, okay? This is Adonis's predictions for the world in 5 years, okay? This is basically my version of it. So I was recording like multi-coin capital thesis. That's why this is still here. I'm just gonna share my screen and like yap about this for a moment, right? So Adonis's predictions about the world in 5 years. Okay, this is basically the best I'm doing, and a lot of this is going to be wrong because I'm an idiot, and I have to say that I am an idiot. Okay, I think stablecoin adoption goes up. Okay, I genuinely believe that. I think agents making their own payments and simple decisions on your behalf becomes normal. I don't think this will be a very big deal. Okay. Next thing, I think people spend more time online than they do in real life. And let's just assume that this means that they would like includes relationships, by the way. Includes relationships. Your chat GPT would know more about you than your fucking wife, bro. You get it? That's how powerful this is gonna be. I think this is gonna happen in like 5 years. Okay. What else? All major real estate becomes tokenized because I think this is just going to become more and more problematic to buy real estate. Hyper gamblification of society. Okay. So bit like betting apps take off, sports take off. Then what else? You see IRL events. So it's like prediction markets. These continue to perform really fucking well, right? And we will see very soon habit markets. Will this person be able to stick with what they're saying that they will stick with? Very soon. And I think with AI, if we are able to generate something with regards to figuring out whether a person was lying or not lying, you can even confirm validity of actions. Like, did this person really fail, or did this person fail just to win like a poly market bet? Those things could be done as well. I think robots walk among us. Very simple, I think. Customer service gets taken down. Like, I don't think customer service roles will exist anymore. I think only authentic content creators survive. I think the day AI can do something like me, uh, bro, I think that's the day I should probably just quit making content or something, or think about what other kind of content I can make. Okay. I think people will design specialized low lifespan apps for their personal use. Like, I will design an app for myself. That's it. Only I will use it. My wife will use it. That's it. It's for us. It's for literally for us. And OpenClaw and Maltbot, all of these will like just like blend together in like the back end, and like you will forget about them. I think product manager, ex junior engineer, ex marketing lead merge into one. I think this is already happening with like a lot of product marketing roles. This shit will definitely happen. Like, bro, at this point, having a tertiary knowledge. So, how do you position? Okay, how do you position yourself? Biggest question of all time. I think what you can really do is learn how to buy. But bro, this shit is really up there. Learn how to prompt. because you don't know how to prompt, right? This is going to be super big. Learn how to prompt. L- Keep up to date with AI and crypto advancements. I also think that this thing will also be big. Privacy blows up. Like privacy becomes very important. This will definitely happen, right? Keep up to date with crypto advancements. Learn how to wipe code. Learn how to prompt. Have a unique and authentic personality. Like I don't think people will be doing job interviews anymore. They'll just simply say, okay, how is this person? Uh, Claude, find me the person who is most suited for this role based on their tweets. This is probably a fucking future HR prompt that's going to happen one day. It's definitely going to happen one day. So, yeah. And what about it? I think learning how to wipe code, learning how to prompt, use dApps a lot. This is going to be really big. Use new dApps, just integration, talk and retalk with interesting people. I think if you do like this much, take time off to think deeply and read books. This is going to be very big because soon this whole mode of, oh my god, I can do this much with one day, bro. Right now, vibe coding to you is loading up cursor and shit, right? Wait till you get to the level where you don't have to even do that. You can just simply say shit and get people on board. Wait till that happens. I think then it's going to become really fucking difficult. Really, really fucking difficult. You will not even know how easy it's going to be. So, yeah, what about it? Now, now I think what we need to do is hop on, King. I've just invited Abhitej as well so that I can talk about what's going up in the prediction markets here. So I've always been like, for religious reasons, I can't really promote prediction markets, if I'm being very honest. See, and the reason is that, and that's the whole fucking reason why I cannot, like, half of DeFi is inaccessible to me. Do you guys realize, as a Muslim, there are two ways you make most majorly of your money, right? You own the asset or you earn a yield on it, right? Basically, or you rent out that asset. Fine. Third way of doing that somehow. Rent out an asset, like, renting out a property, you earn something from it, and the guy just like pays you like a fixed income to have the access to it. So one whole section of this, which is yield, is completely banned to us. Like we cannot take that. That 5%, 6% that you see on like Steakhouse or more for it, that's not accessible to me. You guys realize this, right? And that's the reason, like, we can only work with like infra. I can work with these things, but that's about it, man. That's about it. So I think, like, in order to like position well, like vibe coding, prompting, using new dApps, this is going to become very, very important. Not so like little bit important. And I also say, like, check the charts. This is another thing. I think that the biggest mistake you can make in crypto is to forget about the charts. I am really against the idea of forgetting about the charts, because if you forget about the charts, literally nobody cares about you. Like, and oh, I completely forgot about this. I have been cleaning my LinkedIn connections a lot. So if like we are connected on LinkedIn, and like soon like we are not, like, I'm sorry, but I had to let you guys go. And that was like the basic thing. But my whole idea is very simple. I basically do not care about like who am I connected with here. It's basically, I have like a very simple idea about like why am I connecting with anyone here. And that is that, hey, I really want to, just be around like very like-minded people. They should be from like the same same industry and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically my idea. So yeah, maybe not the answer you you guys are looking for, but that's how it is. And holy shit, bro, there are some people I'm connected to who are like VP at Circle and whatnot. Insane, insane. Like they were like SVP and head of developer relations uh, back in the day and stuff. So yeah, now they're like pricing and product strategy kind of people. So yeah, really interesting people that I've met over the years. You know what's like super interesting to me? Seeing the people I connected with back in the day who were not doing well and now they're like doing super well. It kind of tells me a lot. Like it tells me that if you just keep pursuing what you're pursuing, you eventually end up doing pretty well. I have a lot of people who are like from uh, from like a background of psychology, and I have to like remove all of those connections. So it's a little bit chopped in that regard. I remember, like a lot of these people that I'm removing. I have like a lot of messages to them, messages for them, and all these messages are the same. They're like, "Hey, we are launching a mental health platform. Would you be interested in connecting?" Blah blah blah. This is so interesting back in the day because I did not understand how all of these things would affect my trajectory in life. When you are just making these connections for the first time, you really don't know what's going to happen, um, and you just sort of live your life through that. But now I'm just like, here I am cleaning out my connections, and a lot of people have made something out of themselves. I often think about myself like, did I waste my life or did I do the right thing? And of course, like I honestly think a lot of people simply look at me and they think the same thing. They're like, oh, you know what happened? uh, it's completely fine that whatever happened happens for a reason or something. That's what I at least think about. I just i just wish things could have been, like when they're happening in the moment, you really wish like you could see yourself from like an outside perspective. I don't think we get that anymore. I don't think we get that uh to an impressive level anymore. So yeah, there's so many people who belong in that era. And the funniest thing, I'll tell you the funniest thing. When I was pursuing my masters, bro, everybody around me thought that I was going to be a professor. Everybody around me thought that. And my CV was nuts. It was nuts. It was so good. You would not believe it. Okay. Like, I would flex that CV in front of fucking assistant professors, bro, and they would like it. So I had like a life going for me in that field, and I pivoted. I pivoted away very fucking hard, and I, I still think to this day if I made the right choice. Of course, when you're printing money, you don't ever have to think about these things, right? Like, of course, you're not thinking about these things. But okay, fine, whatever. It happens because it happens, and it happens because it always happens. I would like to also assume that nobody is talking about the Mega ETH TGE, because I don't have anyone who's speaking about it. It's very weird to see what is happening. I think, like, to be very honest, there is nobody who is doing this podcast level game better than Blockmates right now. I think Blockmates is amazing. They should definitely do this. Like, they are really, really fucking good at this podcast game. My man, how's it going?
All good. How about yourself?
All good, man. All good. Thank you so much for joining me. I was just rambling into the open space about LinkedIn and people having moved on, like my old connections on LinkedIn. It's always very interesting. Like You connect with people when they're in like one phase of their life. Now, when you're reviewing all of your connections, they're like, "Oh, this guy became VP at Circle. Very interesting." So it's like, "Oh man, should have probably cut in touch." How's it going on?
Pretty good, I think so. Uh, Sort of like very similar, but I think so. The phases are now with respect to like majority of it is with AI. Like, you know, start of the week I think, okay, this is something I want to catch up, and next week there's something completely new, and you feel like, oh, like that feels like it was 2 years ago kind of situation. Even if you look at OpenClaw, how it has evolved, and now multiple other tools like I've just like started using Kimi quite a bit, Kimi 2.5, and just feel like all these models that you're paying like heavy piece for generally like feels like waste of money. And so it's just like, as everything is moving so fast, so yeah.
Yep. And I would, the funny thing is that I am yet to kind of look into, Kimi 2.5 myself. It's just that there's so many of them at this point that I'm like, guys, can somebody like slow it down for me? And Twitter is not helping. So what I was doing right besides now with it, just like I was just like thinking like, okay, Adonis's prediction about the world in 5 years, which is like as boring as something can be. And I was just like, okay, stablecoin adoption will go up. I think hyper gamification continues to happen. It's like betting apps and everything become more and more mainstream. People just sort of live on their phones. So I think it's like very, very helpful to like learn how to wipe code, learn how to prompt, use new dapps, take time off to like think very deeply, because if construction of a new thing is not the mode, then thinking of it definitely is. Check the charts, because it's always important to know where the Bitcoin price is, and talk and retalk with interesting people. So tell me more about Bento. What are you guys doing? How is it different from any other prediction market that I have in front of me? If you have to pitch it to like somebody who's new, what are new features that you're rolling out as well?
Absolutely. So Bento itself is not a prediction market. That is something that I generally try to clarify, but I get it. Simplest way to understand is if somebody understands Roblox. It's very easy to build like an analogy with that. But somebody who doesn't, so let's just think of this: when you get a box of Legos home, right? And there are three different kids that are trying to play with those Legos. Each kid will build their own something that they really relate with, right? So somebody who loves cars will build a car, somebody who loves architecture, for example, will build a bridge, somebody who loves, for example, say Mario will build a Mario Kart. And it just is based on like their preferences and what they like. People love to structure things according to that. So it's like, at the end of the day, anything that we're doing in our life is a form of expression. The major challenge with prediction markets today is that they have very rigid formats. That means as we are forcing everybody to just bet in the same format, which is binary markets, which is not ideally the structure that a lot of users really love. If you're a trader, or say trader just in persona, maybe like Polymarket and Kalshi in today's format makes sense for you. You're looking at charts, you're looking at order books, spread, and stuff like that. Whereas large majority of people like outside of this trader persona actually love fantasy. They love like brackets. They love building their own like parlays. And that's something that's completely missing. So what Bento is building this layer on top of prediction markets, solving one specific problem, which is form factor. And it allows users to build essentially their own gameplays or participate in the gameplays that they resonate most with. So so yeah, this is it. And I think so, just like bringing down to what, as I said, if somebody understand Roblox, it's easier to understand. What Roblox did was, they realized that a lot of gamers are showing on to these games not because particularly they want to play that game over and over again, but because their social existence or kind of social life is linked to this game. So that's like the game has become a social hub, and there's a common interest for a lot of people to show up into the same game. Now, the key insight there was that how do we amplify this behavior and allow people to sort of like engage more actively into, and sort of like be more creative, and microeconomy spin up on that is let them build their own games. And you get these Legos and you could build your own games. And essentially, different people will build different games with the same Legos. And sort of like very similar thought process in our case, like Legos are markets themselves, and so you can stack up different markets together to build your own gameplays. And then you can like share it with your community. You could build microeconomies, and this tends to become like a social layer, actually on top of other prediction markets, because you have people with common interests showing up and building these gameplays. And then they have a value exchange, which is like a creator can create very interesting gameplays, a lot of people show up to that, and then they earn part of that, like, as a creator they earn fees from whatever volume is being generated here. And sort of like you start seeing what sort of people that are in your group, what kind of markets they're participating in, what sort of gameplays they're participating in. So it becomes a very active participation. And to sum it up, I would say, as I said, form factor, I believe, is the major missing point, which will bring prediction markets to our daily lives. But everything with respect to liquidity resolution are sort of like problems that are very tuned in to for like people with larger capital. But when you think about 60 to 70% of the people that even make up the sports betting or fantasy applications, they are users that are $100 to $1,000 worth of market ticket size, and these users love more gamification, more engagement, rather than looking at liquidity and those kind of things. So yeah.
This is intense, man. And I recently got access because I think the UAE ban is no longer there. So woohoo for me. So if anybody wants to like try it out themselves, is there a way they can like try this out? Like how would you begin with this?
Yeah, so I think so. The application itself is designed in a very simple way, much different from like other prediction markets where you're overwhelmed when you come in. It
Yep.
just says it's actually, as I said, it was built for like this other end of the spectrum of users with like $100 to $1,000 ticket size. You come in, you can sort of like see the markets that are available. You can see the gameplays that are available. The easiest way to start is you come in, add funds. And so in one, you log in through your social login, right?
Yep.
So you don't have to think about wallets. You don't even have to think about, or like which chain I am on. All of that is abstracted. It's technically a Web2 application. And you can add funds using your credit card. If you want to use like a on ramp a method, you could use you can send from any chain.
Hmm.
You don't have to worry about the end chain. You can, if I'm on Arbitrum, I can send on Arbitrum and it will show up here. I can send from an exchange. And then I can participate in the markets that are already available, or I can create one if I want to say spin up a market with 10 of my friends, or something that I want to spin up with thousands of people, but a public market that has to be bootstrapped. But I think so more than markets, the interesting part is sort of this interesting gameplays. I can try and if see if I can share my screen.
Yeah,
Um,
sure. And what would you say is like the something obvious to you that a lot of people are not looking at when it comes to prediction markets? Because there can always be. Yeah, let me just start it to the scene. Yeah, there you go, bro. Oh wow! Oh, we have IPL markets. Oh, now we're talking.
yeah, so
Indians in the chat are going to go insane. They're very happy to
so
see that.
So I think so. What you're saying is, I think so. A big part of it is also is like when you think about cricket, such a big market.
Bro, nobody has this.
Yeah,
Like, it's insane. It's insane. It's actually like one of the first things my friends ask whenever I tell them about poly market culture. They're like, okay, but where's cricket? And I'm like,
yeah,
that's a good one.
yes.
And it's very crazy because there is like some proof of concept with like Dream 11 and a lot of these platforms, right? Like, they did it and it was a little bit complex there. So, if you can just crack distribution to that level and not get into regulatory trouble, you're actually pretty golden in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. So looking at it, so I think so. Like what we were talking about, right? I think so. What you built, what you were seeing on your screen was an alpha, where it's kind of as like was the first Lego. We wanted to put it out because that's where we start testing the system from grounds up, and pretty much like so far we have had no major issues. We've crossed like with alpha, we had just like I think so 50 users showing up, and so we have done more than 10,000 in volume. And just as like alpha is a very small set of groups, but like what we wanted to see is can we even achieve 10,000, right? So we've done no issues. We've been improving the UI quite a bit, so which is great. But it gets interesting once the gameplays enter the chat, which they have entered the chat. And so here it's like this is the first thing that we're launching, which is tournaments. So think of tournaments as a way is it's like rather than me participating in one-off markets, I can actually participate in a full season or like multiple markets that are built across the season. And it's very competitive, and it like kind of like gets you to show up on the platform everyday basis, because you enter with like say I can enter this tournament with like a say whatever is the entry fees for this. And then so to say this tournament has a $10 entry fees. I approve and then I participate. Once I'm there, it's just like $10 is my entry fees, and I get some credits. I can utilize those credits to go all in once or like utilize it across markets. It's just my strategy. And then based on however I'm playing, basically I'm advancing to different stages. And if I like say think of it as poker, right? If I lose my all money, I can get another buy-in, but like there is a limit that's on the tournament creator if they want to allow or not allow. So for example, if you saw here I got some chips, I can utilize these chips now to play in different markets, and this markets go on. So for example, I can go on through the league stage, I can bet on all the matches markets that are there. I can and then as I can basically spend all my money on just one match. And then if I end up winning, I'm winning big. Multiplier just 1x, for example. And then, so what it does is it creates this way that the big issue that we talk to a lot of people about is that risk and reward ratio right now is pretty low. So a segment like this, I can enter with $10 and win like $1,000 in say matter of like say 30 days, and that like gives me now like 100x return on my initial bet as a win. And so this is like kind of like what makes the competition much more intense, and similar sort of like other gameplay that again is highlighted here. I think a bunch of things. Pratyaksh is going to kill me that I'm revealing all of this at this moment, but it's like parlays. Parlays is much more complex than tournaments is, and so parlays is something that we are testing it out and we want to get it audited, and once it is done we will be releasing parlays as well. And the parlay, how it works on our system is much different than anybody else has built. It's kind of 2.5 years of our work of building liquidity for long tail markets or long tail assets, and prediction markets are long tail. And then you could sort of like design your own parlays. And it's like, if you have correlated markets, how does your advantage goes away? Versus somebody who's betting on completely independent events. And then sort of like we will keep introducing more gameplays. And that's kind of like the vision is that you allow people to play in the formats that they love, and allow them to build these gameplays themselves, distribute, have fun along the way. So prediction markets don't feel like overwhelming trading screens or like a lot of like numbers just showing up. You just want to do it for fun. And then when you do it for fun, it just starts to become part of your daily life. So yeah, that's
I would also say that, what can really benefit is like you having still like an onboarding flow on the app. And the reason I'm saying that is because, see, there are a lot of people like me who still have never done fantasy. Like we know football.fun, like mentally we know like, okay, we'll rip like cards and we'll have like cards and we'll set it up. And like a lot of my friends do it. Like even I was looking at the new FIFA 26, like my friends are playing it. And I was like, you guys are arranging your cards more than you're actually playing. And they're like, yeah, it's like a new feature. I'm like, the hyper gamification of society. will drive me insane. But I was like, okay, fine. But as somebody who's still like distant from the idea, I think something of like an onboarding flow can definitely help. I often like redirect people to this application. It's called Dream. I don't know. I think it's called Dreaming on. Oh yeah, there you go. This particular app, I'm on their test flight. I'll send you like a couple of pictures later on. They're basically like a crypto and options protocol, but I actually like genuinely has one of the best UI UX I've seen out there. Like very very close to the likes of Noise and a couple of others. So something like that would like appear like really really fucking polished for you guys as well. And what I would want is that hopefully fingers crossed you guys actually do make it to the group chat. So if you guys can integrate with WhatsApp or even Telegram or something like that. And one of my not, I would not say predictions because it's not like an original prediction, but I would really bet heavily on this is basically prediction markets make a lot of sense when you have high conviction bets, right? So it's either something that you're really really knowledgeable about, or you're following a strategy that just works, like if you're using bots or something. But also if that which you know about is something only you and a couple of other people know about, so like group of five friends, betting on whether this guy will come late as he usually does, or will he be able to not sleep in for once, or will this guy continue his workout journey for 7 days straight or something. And there are a couple of apps that have tried to do this, like Fitcentive has tried to do this and a couple of others. If we crack this, like, will is this something that Bento is thinking about slash thinks about slash would like to think about down the line for you guys?
It is already actually live on Bento. So you can create private markets and then you can just share with your friends, and it could be anything. You control the resolution. So it's not like complex process of it goes through like an admin flow or it has to go through like a bonded market structure that somebody proposes like a solution and then like if nobody contests then it resolves. It is just like creators can resolve. So you can put it in a group chat with your friends and like start trading, like start betting on that market. And that could be like, say, hey, like who's gonna show up the like latest to the dinner tonight, right? So for example, or a friend who often sleeps in like movies, like will he sleep today or not? So kind of like fun things.
Yep.
And I think so this is where it gets really interesting, is that one of our biggest convictions is into this one core behavior that we've seen across um, like different kind of user groups, is that why are people spending hours and hours debating in group chats or basically posting on about like a certain subject or sharing PNL screenshots. Ultimately all of us are trying to prove we are the alpha, right? So it's like everything distills down to this one concept, is like everybody's trying to prove alpha. So for example, everybody like posting their open claw setup is trying to show that they are alphas, right? They are the early ones in like the space. Um, and to right now, the current prediction market structure actually does not quantify this alphaness.
And oh, yeah, now you're back. I was just about to say that when we enter into this stage where we are always trying to like predict things, I personally believe this may like detract us a little bit from prediction markets, but I personally feel we would also see a lot of these double or nothing kind of markets where we would be like, would you like to take this bet? And you can either pay double or you pay nothing. It's like a 50-50 chance. And I think there's like Flip Dot Money and a couple of others who are actually building this. They're building this natively with Apple Pay. And I think that would be really, really cool. I would also see that there will be some form factor unlock in prediction markets, like OpenClaw did with like with OpenClaw, for example, and like Simple Claw and a lot of these other services did it with OpenClaw, that we would come to your place, set it up for you because you're not technical enough, right? Like, I was not technical enough. It was insanely difficult for me to set it up. Every single X article out there, bro, every single X article out there just assumed I have ever touched the fucking terminal in my life. I had not. I was like, oh my God. And I have Claude Max. And I was asking that, what to do? How do I, what is NPM and why do I care? Right? And even that was not able to help me out. So if the max plan of the best quote unquote model out there is not allow like able to help me out, and a junior developer can, I think we're still like really far off. Like AI has this thing where it does like really amazing things really easily and then fails at really, really, really junior level things. And you just like rethink your entire ideology of like when we like how far are we from AGI and stuff. Right. So I think we're going to unlock that for prediction markets, something that will allow people, something that will allow our parents to bet on the progression of a news they read in the newspaper. Like today's newspaper says this, what will tomorrow's newspaper say this? Will this news come in tomorrow's, Amar Ujala or something like that, to speak of like Indian newspapers? And they have to be like, okay, yes, this can come in this newspaper, but it's not big enough to come in this one, so I think it will come in this one. And basically like the Sudoku games and like the riddles that come on like the second to third last page right before the sports section in Indian newspapers. So if something like that unlocks, I think we would see like a lot of adoption for this, because this is something that a lot of us, like a lot of the Indian subcontinent, we do this all the time. We make predictions all the time, from when it will rain to whether to today like the teacher is going to come or not, to how late is my train going to be, to whether I should take, if I take this bus will I reach it on time, to how much of a time difference should I tell my friends to ensure that they all reach on the same time, right? We do this all the time, but I don't think prediction markets as a concept has been accepted by India that much. And I think part of the reason is because like Dream 11 really chopped up that idea for a lot of Indian parents. Like they hear anything that has to do with predictions, no, absolute no, right? So how do we navigate that in your opinion?
I would say like geography, like over indexing on a geography is like anyways a bad idea, because like initially, especially like in early stages, you kind of are like not trying to focus on geographies, but you're focusing on an ICP, sort of like um, that is kind of like a similar user set. Like when you think about football, so football user that exists across the world has like similar kind of behavior, affiliation, loyalty. They all like spend their weekends or like weekdays like following games, and they all love like similar sort of players. You kind of have to build initially for structures that kind of like appeal to a large audience. What you're saying sort of makes a lot of sense to what Bento has created with private markets, which is like markets that live within your group chat, and markets that kind of like are which is what I said is you can quantify that alphaness or kind of like this predictions sort of model who is the most right often within your group chats, but sort of as this like private structure. And so nobody else really cares about these things. Nobody really cares about will the teacher show up or not. And if you try to kind of like project it to everyone, it just gets very confusing. So yes, like something like this is why we built the user generated markets module, is like you could create markets for yourself. Now we have SDK coming up, which would allow us to basically think of this SDK as like a common standard for us to enable multiple use cases like agentic markets. So you could have agents competing with other agents, creating markets, trading on markets, and kind of like, they could be a leaderboard of just agents trading, right? This other one as use case major would be as you can plug these Bento into any group chat wherever like it allows, basically Telegram, Discord. You could have like the paid versions. Of course, you can't do it on WhatsApp and Slack, but like you could still use our Playground module to have a free to play model, just which is giving credits. But then sort of like what you're saying is why I believe prediction markets have not really cracked into this large audience, and it's not irrespective of whether they're in India or other places. It just says that they don't appeal to people. That's what most people have said. It's just like not fun enough. And like people ultimately, when you think about hyper gamification, it's also like we are entering into hyper gamified world, and we want everything that's very intuitive, that's fun, that's engaging. It's almost like when you think about what most people are looking for, it's like it is coming down to entertainment. um, And that's kind of like as what spectrum you are targeting. So if you're targeting a spectrum that's like what, like say right now Polymarket and Kalshi is tapping into, which is the top 1%, when you think about these people, they're ultimately looking for um, capital edge always. So entertainment is not something that they really care about. They're not getting into markets because they find them entertaining or like great, interesting. They want to get in if they find like a gap, a edge, mispricing of the options, mispricing of the events. They want to get into that. So it's like kind of like a data crunching job. And then you have this large spectrum of users that you think about they are spending their time watching sports or on TikTok or Instagram or engaging in communities. These people are ultimately looking for one thing, which is entertainment. And for this large segment of users, if you can't build that entertaining sort of experiences, they are not going to like sort of like you can't penetrate them. And so I feel like what Kalshi did initially with mention markets is a form of entertainment. You're watching something and you were just like you just want to pick up a like prediction whether this person would say something or not. More than the kind of like the structure of these markets, it was about entertainment. It's like, oh, like I can have fun and I find this, I'm watching something and like I'm seeing the person waiting, that person to say something, and then it happens and I've like hit a jackpot kind of stuff. And yeah, so I feel like that's where the like what our vision with Bento is, that you have to solve this problem of how do you make these very boring, very like capital intensive market more fun, engaging, entertaining, and like kind of like build a loop that users keep showing up, right? So it kind of like goes back to is if you can't build gamified social loops, it's not attractive enough for majority of the users. And yeah, and sort of you can't really see them to be part of your daily lives, and like they sort of like everything is very fragmented. Right now, even if I'm betting on Polymarket or Kalshi, for that matter, on different markets, my entire experience is completely fragmented. There's nothing that is building into a social reputation that's kind of like unlocking new things for me, or proving that I'm sort of like a subject matter expert on something, other than just like this PNL leaderboard, which is why it is not enticing enough for other users that maybe are doing this on daily basis on sports or other like categories, that they just there's no quantification of it. So like that's like where social loops become really interesting. Yeah, so that's our vision like of saying is why you want to make it like a social layer for prediction markets.
Like, first of all, when can I see, when can I use the prediction markets myself on like Bento? Because I'm still in the UAE. So I think it's like still giving me like some restrictions when it comes to adding funds and withdrawing them. That's number one. But my second part is uh, anything that you can share with the viewers, anything new that you guys are currently working on, where are you guys headed? What seems to be like any major announcement timeline or milestone that you're looking at?
Yeah, I think so. The major, like the most recent one would be launch of tournaments for ICC T20 World Cup. So as of like Feb 14th, which is Valentine's Day, we will share our love with our users and launch tournaments. And which is gonna be say this continuous market, like continuity of participation, and users can have this very like say participate with a small amount and like have like a big return if they are predicting it right, making through the each stage to reach kind of like finale, and then like make all the predictions right in finale and win like a big prize. And with that, we will be basically entering into our gameplays. And then when second part which you said is like when can you use in UAE, ideally we're still being very restrictive of the jurisdictions that we want to be very careful about. So for jurisdiction like UAE, I would highly recommend you to try out our playground. Playground would be this free to play version where ideally users could test out their theories. They can create just fun games with their friends, or gameplays with their friends, and it could just be like a way to participate, or like you testing your thesis, or just having friends with fun with your friends. And we also do plan to run some campaigns on Playground as well, which is partly to what you said, is educating users, having a great onboarding flow. I feel like a lot of users, when they first show up to the application, using Playground would be a great way for them to just learn, test. You get some free credits, and of course, those free credits are translating into some value if you're really smart. And Yeah, so I think so those are few immediate bases. And the I think so the biggest milestone that we're looking forward to is launch of parlays. One parlay is alive, we kind of like can start to work towards beta, and we will start focusing on private beta and like launch of our mobile application, and bringing this entire like very socially intuitive experience in the hands of the users.
My man, thank you so much for making the time today. It was lovely chatting with you, and yeah, I hope to see more of you on my timeline. And whenever it goes live in my jurisdiction, let me know. I definitely want to give it a spin, give it a try. And hopefully you guys integrate like that level of onboarding flow as well, so like complete noobs like me can still use it. And I really look forward to you guys like doing your major launches coming very, very soon. Hopefully 2026 plays out very, very well for you guys.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for inviting. Always fun to be here. Bye.
Bro,
Okay.
always there, man. Always there. Take care, man. Have a good one. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, guys. I think that was it from my end to the stream today. I think we'd be calling it a day. Abhitej was very, very helpful for coming through. And what I would definitely be looking at now is that tomorrow we have another very, very interesting person coming in. Let me actually confirm with this once again. Tomorrow on Thursday, we're going to have Ash, as in like Axel. So that would be really fucking fun, in it. So that's what we're going to look at. I'm actually going to make the announcement just yet because I don't want to really wait. And yeah, that's about it from my end.